I really enjoyed your comment about when you said that there was one human language. And you also indicated that if we were Martian and we came to the Earth, we would sort of hear one sound in a sense. So I was wondering, with all of the diversity that we have in the world today, and historically, with Asia being one way linguistically, and Africa another, Europe another, and with inflectional languages that we've developed from Indo-European influences, and the agglutinative languages that come from Africa, and the Creoles from the Caribbean area. In the future, say 100 years from now, could you comment on which tendency would you feel that we would more likely be to go in, that of one human language for the Earth, or diversity with many?
See, when I say there's one language, I don't mean that we should try to sort of all speak Esperanto or something. What I'm claiming is the actual diversity, even the possible diversity. You know, there's a lot of possible languages around that just haven't come along for historical accident. But if you consider the possible diversity, what I'm saying is a rational Martian scientist who looks at us the way we look at frogs would say, well, there's only one of them. It's true, like if we look at frogs, they're all frogs, you know. I mean, if a frog looks at frogs, they're all wildly different from one another. In fact, a frog would just take for granted that every reasonable thing is a frog and wouldn't even ask any question about what it's like to be a frog. A frog would presumably be precisely different, interested in whatever minuscule difference there may be among frogs that tells them, you know, you act this way or that way to them. They don't worry about the fact that they're all frogs. That's taken for granted. Or if you're doing a genetics experiment, let's say, you pretend that all the fruit flies are identical. I mean, if somebody really asks you, you'll say, yeah, they're a little bit different here and there, but they're basically identical for all I care. And whatever is different about them, I forget about. And again, from the point of view of the fruit flies, the world may look quite different. Now, we're no different from any other organism, I presume. I think we're part of the natural world. So we take for granted that anything around is a human being. I mean, if other people use the word house with this weird collection of properties that we use, we don't even notice it. That's just like breathing, because that's just the way any reasonable creature is. On the other hand, if a Martian were to, and if you go over and you hear somebody speak Swahili or something, that looks wildly different. On the other hand, I'm suggesting that if a Martian were to look at us, or if we were capable of looking at ourselves, as we can, you know, you sort of abstract yourself away from being a human being and you try to become a scientist. You can't get out of your own skin completely, but you try. You know, look at us the way we would look at frogs or fruit flies, and I think what you discover is we're remarkably alike. All of this diversity is really pretty superficial. It goes back to very similar structures, in fact, so similar that this diverse range of languages may very well have only one computation.